Welcome. First of all, what I need from you is for you to pronounce your name so that I don't call you the wrong thing.
My name is Pascale.
Pas-
And I think a lot of people the first questions people ask me is, where are you from? Because I have an accent. I do hear my accent once in a while. I am French Canadian. I was born in Quebec in Canada. French is my first language, English my second. Moved to New Jersey. I guess I was about 11 and had to hustle and learn English. So sometimes people hear an accent, they don't quite know what it is because it's not really a French accent. So
Yeah, and where do you live now? Have you lived in the same place for a long time or
I'm still in New Jersey.
in New
So I've
Jersey?
been in New Jersey since I've been I mean, I've moved
Yeah.
within New Jersey, but I'm still in New Jersey. And maybe that's where I'm going to be. I don't know. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But so
My
that's
husband was
what it.
this my husband was the same way. English is his second language, but you would never know he's been in California since he was 8. So my last name is Romanian.
Oh,
And
okay. I
so
was
yeah,
wondering, but because it almost sounded like almost like a French last name too.
it does. Yeah,
Yeah,
ends in an EU. And so yeah,
right.
it does. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's who
Excellent.
I am.
Excellent. Well, so pleased to know who you were born as, and now you are artists living in New Jersey. How do you fill your days? Is that your
No,
vocation? No.
no. I'm a retired nurse by trade. Didn't want to be a nurse. My mother said, you got to go to school. I was 18. You have to be a nurse because she's a nurse. My passion was always animals. But it wasn't in the books for me to be a veterinarian or anything. But you never know, because 40, 50 years later, I work with animals. Basically, for the past 10 years, I've been taking care of animals full time. I don't have employees because I don't want employees. So my schedule pre-pandemic was crazy. So it was 60, 80 hours a week, work every holiday, work every weekend, missed weddings, I mean, my life was the animals. And between all of this, I've always done crafts. Whether it was beading, I love quilting, but I have no patience for measuring. So
You and me both, girl. I'm like, I love the concept of quilting, but like you start
I
giving me 16ths of an inch and my eyes roll
can't.
back in my head.
I can't. I have no patience. So my passion really is papers and fibers and textiles. Quick story, back in the 80s, mid 80s, I got involved with rubber stamping and I became a demo artist, which I think now they're called makers. I don't know. I think they call them makers. So basically I taught around the country and back in the day, there was no Facebook, no YouTube, no, nothing. So companies depended on people like myself to go around showing how to demonstrate rubber stamping. And then I got involved into card creating and teaching classes across the country. Unfortunately, I had to give it up. Life just, I had to give it up. So here I am 30 years later, kind of doing the same thing. Over the years, the past couple of years, I got involved with fiber. So I was needle felting and needle punching. In between my crazy work, I would come home half hour. I got half hour. Let me, do punching, and then I not got bored with it, but I wanted to do something else. And then the pandemic happened, and then literally I went from working 60 to 80 hours a week to nothing.
Wow.
Because nobody was traveling, nobody was going anywhere.
Yeah.
So that was tough for me.
Yeah.
And the kind of not depression, but it was like, okay, what do I do now? So somehow I kept doing my needle thing, but then at the end of last year, I was like, yeah, what else? And
Pascal, you're cutting out and freezing up on me. I wonder if it's just the bandwidth of the internet. And you're back, but you're back on mute.
this right here you go.
That's okay. Did it bump you out for a second?
Right. So for at the beginning of the year, same thing. I was looking on the Instagram and looking at different things, and I came across some mixed media, and I'm like, oh, that sounds good. I knew I didn't want to go back to the card making
Yeah.
because it just wasn't me anymore. So I took a couple of classes and just kept plugging away doing this. I started probably in February doing this.
Yeah.
I love it because there's no measuring, there's no right or wrong. I can do what I want. I can walk away from it. I can come back.
There you go.
No pressure.
There's my soundbite right there. I love this because, right? I can walk away from it and come
Yep.
back. It doesn't take a lot of time, right?
Right.
And that's the thing. Those of us with busy lives,
Right.
it really fits. It checks all those boxes. It's
Right.
creative.
Right.
It's flexible.
Right.
It's easily accessible.
Exactly.
And, if we wanted it to need measuring, we certainly could. There are people that do
You
that,
could.
but for those of us who love to like no
Yeah.
measuring.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
But it just, and then I got into this because I'm kind of a perfectionist. And then I got into this rut. I was putting way too much pressure on myself. So I kind of sat back and I'm like, look, this is not fun. If I'm going to put the pressure and get upset, it's not fun. So I kind of had to let it go. And thank God for my husband, because he's been like, he doesn't know anything about mixed media. I would show him things. It was like, okay, it looks good. And so I've learned that when I get frustrated, I walk away.
Yeah.
And I come back. And there are days my head is just not there. I'll come in, I'll do a couple of marks, and okay, I'm good for the day. You know what I mean? So I don't sit here 12 hours a day and do this. I don't.
Excellent.
I mean, I come and go. And I know I show a lot of pictures. People probably think I do this like all day long. I don't.
I think it's great for people to hear that you don't do it all day, because I think that makes it very accessible and approachable for people, because I know that if somebody thought that I was sitting here doing art all day, every day, they're like, okay, yeah, that's great, but I could never achieve that because I don't have all day, every day. And the same is the truth for me. Even though art is my business, and I do spend quite a bit of time on the business of art, the actual practicality of hands-on is fit into these short little bursts of time. Yeah,
exactly. So I had to learn. And I think too, one of my issues was like, I was watching everybody doing videos and I'm like, I can't do this. First of all, I can't draw. So you'll never see me draw anything. I just can't draw. You know what I mean? So sometimes I do use rubber stamps, and that comes in handy.
Yeah.
But I had to learn that, what, my style is my style. Who I am is who I am. I can't copy other people. And I'm surprised that people like my work, and I'm happy. I get great comments on my, whenever I post pictures, the comments are incredible. And I'm so flattered that
I think it's interesting you say I can't draw. The thing is, I think when we lean into our passion and give up this, like, who says you have to draw to be passionate about your artwork? Right. There's some unwritten rule out there that says that you have to draw to have viable artwork. There's not. If you are passionate about what you're doing, that passion comes through and people are naturally attracted to that. It doesn't have to include anything that we set our mind on, like, oh, well, I'm not a real artist because I don't draw. Do you want to draw? If you want to pursue that, then go for it. But if that's not something you're passionate about, like, I get impatient about anything, right? Like, if it's going to take me a lot of time to figure something out, it's just not. And so I've kind of given that up. And I'm so much happier in doing what I do because I get so much joy out of it. And that's the point for me, is where it brings me in my, like, peace of mind and just my mental state, that, like, there's not enough time left in life to pursue things that aggravate me.
It's true. And I think mostly this year, I just turned 60 a couple months ago, and I'm like, why do I put myself under pressure? I'm supposed to have fun for the rest of my life, and I love what I do.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. I just put pictures on Instagram. Hopefully people appreciate it, and I love it. I love it.
They absolutely do. That's how I found it. So tell me, one of the questions that I ask all of the artists is, what is one of the supplies in art journaling concept? Because I know that you, like me and many artists, we dabble in lots of different arts and
Yeah,
crafts.
yeah, right.
What is in art journaling? What is one of your go-to supplies that you always reach for? Like if this thing is not here for me, it's, matte medium and gesso.
Right.
Um,
That's hard to pinpoint to one,
yeah.
but if I had to pick, it would be my water bottle, my water spray.
Oh,
I
cool. Yeah.
I don't really, I have all the paints. I think I have every color paint because you see people doing with paint. I buy paint, but my things I use inks.
Okay.
So that's my way to move my ink around the paper. So
What
my
types? Well, I'm curious about inks. What types of inks do you use and in what form?
it's just the dropper, basically the acrylic ink, watercolor ink. I use a lot of coffee in my work.
Okay.
So it's, so, and a lot of the sprays, like the Tim Holtz,
Okay.
the sprays that
So,
I use.
so the dropper, I'm getting back to this because I'm a supply geek too. Not that I need to collect anything more, but I'm like, okay, so is it the like acrylic ink, like Daler Rowney acrylic inks and things like that? Or is it, oh, you're frozen up. You are frozen.
Mm.
You're back.
I'm back. Okay. I don't know
Okay.
what you saw, what you didn't see. It's like the acrylic, the inks,
Oh, perfect. Yeah. So Liquitex.
right. And right, or whatever brand there is. And
Yeah.
so when I used that, because I didn't know how to use them. And
Yeah.
then I started spraying and I'm like, ooh, I can really get some nice effects.
Right.
So I live with my spray bottle. I mean,
Spray
that
bottle.
would be my number one. My second one would be probably the matte medium because I do a lot of glowing with collage and papers.
Yeah.
So those would be my two go-to. That
Excellent.
it's on the table. If it's not on the table, I'm in trouble. You know what I mean? But those are my go-to.
Excellent. Excellent. And who out there, what artist inspired you in the realm of art journaling? Because that's what we're talking about.
I can't pinpoint to one. I took some classes. Some classes I knew I was way, way above what but it's my way of, I guess, helping them out, taking classes. Some classes I didn't even look at yet, which I will. Winter months are coming. I'll take my classes. So it's hard to really pinpoint it. And I do believe in whatever field I've been in, I've always believed that each person has that one thing that, whether it's an artist or not, that they bring to the table and you use that. I mean, I took one class, it was with alcohol, how to clean, the ink. If you had too much ink on your paper, to use alcohol. I mean, things like that. I mean, I come out using one thing, and to me, it's worth it. Then the class is totally worth it. But I do follow a lot of different people. Some people, I love their work. I know I would never do because it's not my style, but I appreciate, people's work and the time and the things they do. I mean, wow. You know what I mean? But so it's hard to pinpoint because there's so many people out there, so many wonderful people out there, but.
Awesome. All right. Well, it was great getting to know you a little bit and sort of okay, now I know people are wondering because your backdrop is just filled with gorgeous collection of something. What are in the little boxes?
These behind me, because I did a lot of punch needle, is all threads.
Okay.
Floss. And those over there is all my needle felting animals and things that I've done. So
fabulous.
I have a full packed room because I've done doll making, I've done so many things, but I think the mixed media for me is my go-to right now. It's my therapy. It's what I enjoy doing.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being with us, and hopefully you'll be able to pop into the art journaling session.
I shall try. I can't wait to see what people make. Thank you so much, Andrea. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for your inspiration. We just really appreciate you sharing on Instagram because it inspires us all. So thank you so much. All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.